I still remember the exact moment when everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning, just after breakfast. I was sitting in my living room scrolling through my phone, sipping my usual cup of coffee, when a notification popped up. It was from my daughter-in-law, Rachel. Not a message, no. That would have required her to acknowledge my existence. Instead, it was a picture posted on her social media. There they were. My son, David, Rachel, and my 2 grandchildren, Ella and Noah, smiling at the airport, with suitcases, backpacks, and even those neck pillows people buy for long flights. The caption read, "Off to paradise. Family time is the best time." My heart sank. My hands trembled as I stared at the photo. At first, I thought maybe it was an old picture. Maybe they were sharing a memory. But the timestamp was clear. Posted, just 10 minutes ago. Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. I stared at it for a long time. No mention of me, no text, no call, nothing. I refreshed the page, hoping maybe, just maybe, this was some mistake. But then the comments started appearing. "Have a great time, Rachel. The kids are gonna love it. You guys deserve this vacation." And right below, Rachel herself replying to someone, "Yes, it's been a long time since we did something, just for us. Just our little family. Just our little family." I felt something heavy in my chest. My own son. My own grandchildren. I was nothing but an outsider now. I scrolled further, and another picture appeared. This time, it was a selfie of them inside the plane. Rachel holding up 2 boarding passes. I zoomed in. First class, of course. The kids had their tablets out. David smiling with his usual perfect grin, pretending nothing was wrong, pretending I didn't exist. For a moment, I sat there frozen. Maybe they forgot to tell me. Maybe this was last minute. Maybe there was some misunderstanding. But deep down, I knew better. It wasn't the first time Rachel had made me feel invisible. Ever since she married my son, things started changing. At first, it was subtle. Family dinners where she suddenly felt too tired to come. Holidays where they showed up late and left early. Then came the excuses. The kids were busy. David was working late. Rachel had appointments. The truth was, Rachel had been pulling David further and further away from me for years. But this was different. This wasn't forgetting a birthday or skipping a dinner. This was deliberate, and the part that hit the hardest was the realization that I had unknowingly paid for it. 3 months earlier, Rachel had come over. She was unusually sweet that day, offering to help me around the house, making me tea. I should have known then that something was off, because Rachel never did that. "Mom," she started, her voice softer than usual. "We've been struggling a bit with some unexpected expenses. The house repairs, school fees, and well, the car broke down last week." I remember feeling immediate sympathy. Of course I wanted to help. They were my family. I didn't even think twice. "How much do you need?" I asked. She hesitated, as if embarrassed. "Well, it's a bit more than I feel comfortable asking, around $8,000. Without blinking, I agreed. I transferred the money the same day. I told her, "Use it for whatever you need." Because that's what family does. That's what a mother does. And now I sat staring at the screen, realizing exactly where that money went. Flights, hotels, theme park tickets, fancy restaurants. It wasn't for house repairs. It wasn't for the kids' school. It was for a family vacation, a vacation that didn't include me. I opened my phone, scrolled to my messages, and clicked on David's name. The last message I had from him was from over 2 weeks ago. "Hey, Mom, just checking in. We're all good. Love you." A lie. A plain, simple lie. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I called Rachel. Blocked. My hands were shaking now, but it wasn't sadness anymore. It was something else. Something colder. Something sharper. I sat there staring at my phone, realizing the truth in real time. They had blocked me. Both of them. on the phone, on social media, everywhere. Blocked me. The woman who raised David, who babysat Ella and Noah when Rachel needed a break. The woman who spent her savings helping them with the down payment for their house. Who covered Christmas gifts when they were tight on money. Who helped when Rachel went back to school. Blocked. Like I was nothing. Like I was disposable. I stood up, pacing. My mind started racing. Was this really happening? Did they actually believe they could do this to me and I would never find out? Did they really think I wouldn't see the photos? That I wouldn't know? I went to my filing cabinet and pulled out the folder where I kept all my financial records. Credit card statements, bank transfers, receipts, and there it was, the transaction from 3 months ago. $8,000 transferred directly to Rachel's account. My hands tightened around the paper. That was my money. Money I worked my whole life to save. Money I gave to help my family. And they used it to go on vacation while locking me out of their lives. I walked back to the living room, sat down, and stared out the window for a long time. I felt something breaking inside me. A kind of sadness that wasn't loud. It was quiet, heavy, numbing. For years, I had made excuses. Rachel's just stressed. David's caught in the middle. They don't mean to hurt me. But now it was undeniable. They knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was intentional. They didn't want me there. Not on the vacation, not in the family. And yet, what they didn't know was that the vacation they were enjoying, every single bit of it, was paid for by me. I looked back at my phone. Another picture popped up. This time they were by the pool, drinks in hand, smiling, and that's when the sadness started to shift. It didn't disappear, but something else started rising up beneath it, something stronger. I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet, but I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't going to end the way they thought it would. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, replaying everything over and over in my mind. The pictures, the posts, the comments, the silence from David. The realization that both of them had gone as far as blocking me on everything. It wasn't just the blocking, it was what it meant. Blocking someone, that's not an accident. That's a decision. It's a statement. And the statement was clear. We don't want you in our lives. Not today. Not on this trip. Maybe not ever. Around 5 a.m., I got up, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table staring at the bank statements I had pulled out the night before. The same transaction sat there mocking me. $8,000. Transfer to Rachel Sanders. I remembered the exact day I sent it. Rachel had even hugged me. She said, "Thank you so much, Mom. You don't know how much this helps. We were drowning. This means the world to us." No shame. No hesitation. She lied straight to my face. And now here they were, sitting poolside, in Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii. I figured it out quickly. The hotel's name was tagged in one of Ella's pictures. I clicked it. Sure enough, it was a luxury resort in Maui. I looked up the prices out of curiosity. $600 a night. Another picture showed them having breakfast at the resort's oceanfront restaurant. I Googled the restaurant too. $48 for pancakes, $65 for steak, and eggs, and I was sitting in my kitchen eating toast and staring at the proof of how little they thought of me. I opened my phone and tried one more time. I dialed David. "We're sorry. The person you are trying to reach is not accepting calls at this time." I tried Rachel. "The number you have dialed has been blocked." I opened Facebook. Still blocked. Instagram. Blocked. Even WhatsApp. Blocked. They didn't just forget me. They erased me. I stared at the wall for a long time before whispering to myself, "They really did this. They really did." I wasn't naive. I knew Rachel never liked me. Not really. She was polite when she needed something. She could smile and play the role. But deep down, I always felt the distance, the coldness beneath the surface. But I never thought David would allow this. I never thought my own son, my only child, would let it get this far. But he did. The next morning, the photos kept coming. More poolside smiles. The kids eating ice cream. Rachel in a straw hat with sunglasses holding a cocktail. And always the captions. Family time. No drama. No stress. Just happiness. No drama. I guess to them, I was the drama. I opened my emails, almost by habit. And that's when something clicked. I started searching for receipts. I remembered that when I transferred that $8,000, Rachel had asked me to send it to a joint account she shared with David. But I also remembered something else. Months before that, David had called me saying that their travel credit card had some issues. He asked if I could add him temporarily to one of my accounts so they could handle it. Just for a couple of months until we sorted out, Mom. I swear. I never removed him. I opened the app. My name was still there as the primary card holder. And guess what else was there? The charges. I scrolled through the statement. 4 round-trip tickets to Maui, 4,125 hotel booking, 3,170 car rental, 652 theme park passes, 480 spa services, 395 restaurant charges, 1,264, and it kept going. I felt my face heat up, not with sadness this time, not with confusion, but with something else. Anger. Because this wasn't just the $8,000 transfer. No, they didn't stop there. They had been using the card, my card, for this trip, for everything. And it wasn't like they forgot. You can't accidentally book 4 plane tickets with someone else's credit card. They knew exactly what they were doing. I grabbed a notebook and started writing everything down. Every charge, every date, every location, line by line. The total was approaching $12,000, and yet, not a single phone call, not a single text, not a single thank you, just blocked. I sat there, staring at the numbers, and the weight of it hit me. Not just the money, not even the betrayal, but the realization of how long I had ignored the signs, how long I had convinced myself that it wasn't that bad, that things would get better, that if I just tried harder, if I was more patient, more understanding, they'd come around. But the truth was staring me in the face now. They didn't respect me, not as a mother, not as a grandmother, not as anything. And as much as that hurt, as deep as that pain went, something else started rising inside me. A question. What am I going to do about this? I sat with that question for a long time. Hours, probably. And slowly, an answer started forming. It wasn't fully clear yet, but it was there. A spark. They thought they were smart. They thought blocking me would be the end of it. That I would just sit here, alone, sad, powerless. But they forgot something very important. The credit card is still in my name. I opened the card app again and scrolled down to the settings. Right there, plain as day, was the option. Freeze. Card. I hovered over it for a moment. But not yet. No. I wasn't going to act impulsively. I needed more information. I needed to know exactly where they were, what they were doing, how long the trip was, and most importantly, I needed to understand what I could legally do. I opened Google and started searching. Cancel hotel reservations if the cardholder isn't present. Dispute charges on shared cards. Rights of primary cardholder versus authorized user. The answers were better than I expected. As the primary cardholder, I had control. If my name was on the reservation, I could cancel it. If the charges were unauthorized, I could dispute them. I could freeze the card. I could shut it down completely. They thought blocking me would cut me off. What they didn't realize was that I still held the keys to the very trip they were enjoying. I stood up and walked to the kitchen window. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked, birds chirped. Life went on, completely unaware of the quiet storm brewing inside me. For years, I had been the one who forgave, who let things slide, who made excuses, who bit her tongue. But something shifted that day. I wasn't sure what this would look like yet. But one thing was absolutely certain. I wasn't going to let this slide. Not this time. I spent the next few hours digging deeper. Every receipt, every charge, every reservation. Nothing about it was subtle. It was all there in plain sight, as if they truly believed I would never look. Or maybe they assumed I wouldn't dare do anything about it. I opened my email, typed in confirmation, and searched. Within seconds, dozens of emails popped up. Hotel bookings, car rentals, excursions, spa appointments, even dinner reservations. I clicked one of them. It was a confirmation from the resort, Hail Kai Beach, Resort Maui. The email read, "Thank you for choosing Hail Kai Beach Resort. Your 7-night stay in our Ocean View Deluxe Suite is confirmed. Check-in, June 4th. Check-out, June 11th. 7 nights." I scrolled down, and there it was. Guest names: Rachel Sanders, David Sanders, Ella Sanders, Noah Sanders. Billing info: cardholder, Margaret Sanders. My name: not Rachel's, not David's, mine. I opened the hotel's website and checked their policies. Right there in the terms and conditions. Reservation modifications, cancellations, or updates can only be made by the primary cardholder listed in the billing section. I read it twice to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding it. They booked the entire stay under my name. I clicked back to the credit card app. The pending charges were still there. The hotel had charged 50% as a deposit. The other half would be charged at check-in. Or, if something went wrong, it would fall back on the primary cardholder, me. I opened another email. This time, the car rental confirmation. Thank you for booking with Island Drive Rentals. Pickup June 4th, Kahului Airport, Maui. Drop off June 11th, Kahului Airport. Reservation under Margaret Sanders. Again, my name. Another one. A snorkeling excursion, paid in advance, under my name. Then, another. A dinner reservation at a restaurant called the Ocean Table, prepaid as part of a dining package. Same thing. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. They really had no shame. It was almost surreal. Almost like they had planned it this way from the beginning. Use my money, use my name, block me to avoid confrontation, enjoy the trip, return. Act like nothing ever happened. Like I wouldn't notice. Like I wouldn't care. But I noticed. And I cared. I opened a notebook and started writing everything down, listing it line by line. Flights, hotel, car, meals, activities, the FI. Total was now over $14,000. I double-checked the dates. It was June 5th, meaning they had checked in yesterday. They were only on day 2 of the 7-day trip. That gave me 5 more days. 5 days to decide what I was going to do. I stood up, paced the living room, then went back to the computer. I opened the resort's website again and clicked on the Contact Us page. A phone number appeared. I stared at it for a moment, then picked up my phone and dialed. The line rang twice before someone answered. Aloha, Hail Kai Beach Resort. This is Jenna. How may I assist you? I took a breath. Hi, Jenna. My name is Margaret Sanders. I believe there's a reservation under my name. I'd like to verify it. Of course, ma'am. Let me pull that up for you. Can you provide the check-in date? June 4th. Thank you. One moment. Yes, I see it here. Margaret Sanders, 7 nights. Ocean View Deluxe Suite. Is that correct? Yes, that's the one. I paused. I need to ask. If the reservation is under my name, does that mean I have control over it? Yes, ma'am. As the primary cardholder and the name on the booking, you're authorized to make changes, cancellations, or adjustments. Even if the guests have already checked in? Correct. You are the primary. Guests are listed, but the reservation itself is tied to your billing. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Good to know. Thank you, Jenna. That's all I needed for now. Of course. Enjoy your day. I hung up, my hands were shaking, not from nerves, from adrenaline. Because now I knew. Without a doubt, I had options. I clicked open the car rental company's page next. Same thing. As the primary renter, I could modify or cancel the booking at any time, and I was listed as the primary. They were just secondary drivers. I scrolled back to the hotel page. My eyes hovered over the button that said, Modify Reservation. It would be so easy. One click, I didn't do it. Not yet, because I needed to think this through. I needed to make sure that when I acted, it was precise, clean, undeniable. I opened a new tab and Googled, Legal consequences of canceling travel booked in your name. The answer was clear. If the trip was booked under my name, using my credit card, I had full authority over it. No crime, no legal issue, nothing. In fact, if anyone should be worried, it wasn't me, it was them, for using my card without my permission, for blocking me after taking my money, for thinking they could get away with it. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the screen, and then something clicked in my head. This wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the disrespect, the entitlement, the way they had treated me like an ATM. Useful when needed, forgotten when not. I opened the calendar on my phone. 5 days left. Wouldn't rush. I wouldn't act out of emotion. I would take my time. I would make a plan. And when the time was right, they would feel exactly what it felt like, to be discarded. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, my laptop open, phone by my side, and a notebook filled with every single expense they had charged under my name. I wasn't acting out of anger anymore. That part was gone. Now, everything felt methodical, focused. I started by calling the car rental company. I had already checked their policies twice the night before. As the primary renter, I had full authority. The phone rang. Thank you for calling Island Drive Rentals. This is Kyle. How can I assist you? Hi, Kyle. This is Margaret Sanders. I have a rental under my name, and I need to cancel it. Let me pull that up. Can you confirm the pickup date? June 4th. One moment. Yes, here it is. A 7-day rental. Reservation under Margaret Sanders with additional drivers David Sanders and Rachel Sanders. Are you sure you want to cancel? Yes. Please cancel it effective immediately. All right. The car is currently in use. Do you want us to send someone to retrieve it? I smiled. A real one this time. Yes, Kyle. Retrieve it. Cancel. Everything associated with it. Understood. You'll receive a cancellation email shortly. Thank you. No problem. Have a great day. I hung up and refreshed my email. 30 seconds later, it arrived. Your rental has been successfully canceled. Our team will retrieve the vehicle at the current GPS location within the next hour. I imagined the scene. David walking out of the hotel lobby with the keys in his hand, only to see someone from the rental company waiting for him. Probably confused at first, then realizing, then furious. But I wasn't finished. I opened the resort's website and clicked Contact again, the same number. I dialed. Aloha, Hail Kai Beach Resort. This is Jenna. How may I assist you? Hi, Jenna. It's Margaret Sanders again. I need to make a change to my reservation. Of course, ma'am. What would you like to do? I'd like to shorten the stay. Cancel the remaining nights effective immediately. A pause. Ma'am, the guests are currently checked in. Yes, but the reservation is under my name. Please proceed. Understood. I'll process that now. There will be a cancellation fee for the unused nights, but the remaining balance will be refunded to your card. That's fine. Make it effective. Today. All set, ma'am. You'll receive a confirmation shortly. Thank you, Jenna. I refreshed my email. Sure enough. Your reservation has been modified. Check out. Today at 12 p.m. I sat back and took a deep breath. Hotel? Gone. Car rental? Gone. I opened the app for the theme park tickets they bought. There, under Manage Tickets, was the option, Cancel and Refund. I clicked it. It processed instantly. Full refund. I did the same with the snorkeling excursion. Canceled. The dinner reservation? Prepaid. Canceled. Refund issued. I opened my bank app. One by one, the refunds started coming in. $2,400 from the hotel. $600 from the car rental, $480 from the theme park, $395 from the snorkeling trip. Piece by piece, I was dismantling their vacation, not out of cruelty, not out of revenge for the sake of revenge, but because it was mine. Every part of it, paid with my money, booked under my name, and because they decided to block me, pretend I didn't exist, treat me like I was disposable. They were about to learn how wrong they were. I checked the hotel's camera feed. Yes, the hotel offered public lobby cams on their website for guests to see the weather and conditions. I pulled it up. There they were, David and Rachel standing at the front desk. I couldn't hear anything, but it was obvious from the body language. David waving his hands, Rachel shaking her head, the front desk manager pointing at the computer screen, then gesturing toward the lobby exit. A hotel staff member appeared, beside them with a cart. Their luggage was loaded on it. Checkout time had arrived. I zoomed in slightly. Rachel was on her phone, probably trying to call someone. Except, I had blocked her days ago. David tried his phone too. Blocked. They stood there for a while, then started walking toward the exit, following the luggage cart. I sat back, folded my hands in my lap, and stared at the screen. It was quiet, calm, almost peaceful. I opened the credit card app one more time. There was still a pending restaurant charge, a high-end sushi place in Lahaina. I clicked Dispute, selected Unauthorized Charge, and submitted it. The app confirmed the charge would be reversed. Then, with everything finalized, I opened the Manage Authorized Users section. David Sanders, remove, Rachel Sanders, remove.done. They no longer had access to the card. I sat there for a long time, letting the silence settle. No calls, no messages, nothing. And that was fine. Because for the first time in years, I felt like I had control. I wasn't the one sitting by the phone waiting for them to call. I wasn't the one making excuses, justifying their behavior, pretending things weren't as bad as they were. No, now, they were the ones left standing in the middle of Maui, with no car, no hotel, no activities, and no credit card. And it wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. It took them exactly 2 days to come back. 2 days from the moment the hotel forced them to check out. 2 days from when the rental car was repossessed. Right from the parking lot. 2 days from the cancellation of every dinner, every activity, every little thing they thought they were entitled to. No phone call. No text. Nothing. Just a sudden knock at my door at 8:13 in the morning. I didn't have to look through the peephole to know who it was. I opened the door and there they stood. David first, his face tight, jaw clenched, shoulders stiff. Rachel, slightly behind him, arms crossed, sunglasses on, though it was cloudy outside. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Neither of them said anything at first. They just stood there like they expected me to invite them in. I didn't move. I didn't smile. I didn't even step aside. Finally, David spoke. "Mom, we need to talk." I raised my eyebrows. "Do we?" His jaw tightened. "Yeah, we do." I kept my hand on the door but didn't open it any further. "Then talk." Rachel huffed. "Are you seriously going to do this? Standing here like we're strangers?" I tilted my head slightly. "Aren't we?" David's hands went to his hips. "Look, we know what you did." I nodded once. "Good. Then we can skip the part where you pretend you don't understand why." His nostrils flared. "Mom, what the hell is wrong with you? You left us stranded in Maui with 2 kids, no hotel, no car, no money." Rachel jumped in. "Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Do you know what it felt like to have to scramble for a last-minute motel? To have our car taken away right in front of us? People were staring, whispering, watching, like we were criminals or something." I stared at her. Imagine that. People watching you, whispering, judging. Must have felt terrible. Now you have a small taste of how I've felt for the last 3 years. David took a step forward and I stood firm, my hand still blocking the door frame. "Mom," he said, trying to soften his tone. "You didn't have to do it like this." I raised an eyebrow. Didn't I? Rachel scoffed. Oh, don't. Play innocent. You know exactly what you did. You deliberately embarrassed us. Embarrassed you? I repeated slowly. You mean, like when you blocked me? On your phones? On social media? After using my money to fund a vacation I wasn't even invited to? Neither of them said anything. I continued. Or do you mean embarrassed? Like when you smiled into the camera at the airport, posted pictures of family time knowing fully well you had cut me out of it entirely? David clenched his fists. It wasn't like that. Oh, really? I folded my arms. Then tell me, David, what was it like? Explain? It to me. Explain how you took $8,000 from me, then used my credit card for the rest. Booked the hotel under my name. The rental, the dinners, the activities, all under my name, and then blocked me so I wouldn't find out. David opened his mouth, closed. It looked down. Rachel jumped in. It wasn't supposed to be like that. We needed a break, a trip for just the four of us. No stress, no complications. I let out a dry laugh. No complications. Right. You mean, no me. Neither of them said anything. Tell me something, Rachel, I said, looking her dead in the eye. When you hugged me, when you thanked me for helping with the house repairs, when you smiled and told me I was such a blessing, was any of that true, or was it just manipulation from the start? She blinked, and for the first time, looked uncomfortable. David finally broke the silence. Look, maybe we didn't handle it right. Maybe we made some bad choices. But you going behind our backs and destroying our vacation was cruel, Mom. Really cruel. I stared at him. Cruel? My hands trembled slightly, but I held them. Steady. Cruel as watching my own son treat me like a bank account. Cruel as being erased from my own family while you all smile for pictures like I don't exist. Cruel as being blocked, cut off, discarded like I'm nothing. David's voice dropped. It wasn't meant to be like that. Rachel and I, we needed space. Space? I repeated. You didn't ask for space. You took it. You didn't talk to me. You didn't explain anything. You blocked me. Like a spam caller. Like junk mail. Rachel crossed her arms. Okay, fine. Maybe we handled it badly. But you need to grow up and realize you can't control everything. You don't get to decide how we live our lives. I shook my head. Rachel, I didn't control your lives. But guess what? You don't get to control mine either. And you don't get to use my money, my credit, my name, to fund a life that I'm not even part of. David sighed heavily. So what now, Mom? Is this it? You're cutting us off? I stared at him, letting the question hang in the air. You already cut me off, David. I just finally accepted it. Silence. Heavy. Awkward. So that's it? He asked again. That's it, I said simply. No more money. No more help. No more pretending everything's fine. I suggest you two figure out how to live without me, since you made it pretty clear. That's what you wanted. Rachel opened her mouth to speak, but I held up my hand. Don't. I'm done. This conversation is over. I stepped back, closed the door, locked it. For a few seconds I stood there, breathing, listening to them shuffle on the other side. David said something muffled. Rachel snapped back at him, then footsteps, then silence. Gone. I walked to the kitchen, sat down, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like the bad guy. I felt free. I expected the silence after that day to feel empty. For a moment, I even thought it might hurt. That perhaps, after everything, I would wake up regretting what I had done, regretting closing that door, regretting drawing that line. But none of that happened. Instead, I woke up the next morning feeling lighter. No phone buzzing with passive-aggressive messages. No requests for help disguised as small talk. No fake check-ins that only led to them asking for something. It was just quiet. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking at my phone wondering if David would call or if Rachel would suddenly pretend to be polite because they needed something. There was no waiting, no hoping, no disappointment. It was done. But that didn't mean they were done trying. 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was familiar. David's. I opened it. Mom, I don't know why it had to come to this. I thought we were family. I thought you'd always be there. We were going to pay you back. You didn't have to humiliate us like that. What you did was cruel. You crossed a line. Rachel and I are shocked by how far you went. There was no apology, no accountability, just blame. As if I had caused all of this, as if canceling the vacation was the real crime, not stealing from me, not erasing me from their lives. I folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, and put it in the kitchen drawer. Not to save it, not to revisit it later, just to get it out of my sight without pretending it never existed. The next day, another letter arrived. This one from Rachel. I hope you're happy. You embarrassed us in front of our children, in front of the hotel staff, in front of everyone. Ella cried. Noah was confused. Do you have any idea what you've done to this family? You ruined everything. I stood there, staring at the paper. Ruined everything. I guess in Rachel's mind, the everything she was talking about was the free vacations, the financial safety net I had provided, the endless, unquestioned support. Because if I was being honest, there wasn't much left to ruin. They had already ruined it when they decided to cut me out of the family, when they blocked me, when they used me, when they lied. I threw Rachel's letter directly in the trash. That was the last one. Days passed, then weeks, and the silence stretched longer and longer. But it wasn't the kind of silence that felt heavy. It wasn't loneliness. It was peace. For the first time in years, I did things for myself. Simple things. I went to the farmer's market on Saturday mornings. I bought flowers. Not for anyone else, just because I liked them. I started walking every evening around the neighborhood. I sat on my porch in the mornings with coffee. Read books I had forgotten I owned. Cleaned out the spare room that had been collecting junk for years and turned it into a small craft space. My phone stayed quiet. My home stayed quiet. My mind stayed quiet. And the world didn't end. A few neighbors noticed that David and Rachel weren't visiting anymore. Mrs. Reynolds next door asked casually one day, "Haven't seen your son around. Everything all right?" I smiled. Everything's perfectly fine. Because it was. Then, about a month later, something happened that truly confirmed everything I had suspected for years. I got a phone call from the bank. The same bank where I helped David and Rachel with the down payment for their house years ago. The manager was polite, but direct. "Ms. Sanders, we just wanted to confirm. It seems that David and Rachel attempted to add your name back onto their joint account. They said it was a mistake that your name had been removed, but since you were removed as an account holder months ago, we can't process that without your explicit consent." I almost laughed. "No, absolutely not. Do not add me back to anything." "Understood, ma'am. We just wanted to check before rejecting it outright." I hung up, shaking my head. They hadn't learned anything. Even now, after everything, they still thought I was going to fall back into the same pattern. They still believed that if they pushed the right buttons, guilted me hard enough, pretended long enough, that I'd fold. Not anymore. I went to my computer, logged into every account I had, and double-checked everything. Made sure my name was no longer connected to anything of theirs. Canceled the old emergency credit card they used to have access. 2. Changed passwords. Reviewed bank accounts. Checked legal documents. Every door was now locked. Every window closed. Every rope they had used to pull me back into their mess was cut. And with that came peace. It wasn't a dramatic peace. It wasn't a victorious kind of peace where I celebrated or felt triumphant. It was just simple. A quiet home. Clear mind. No more weight on my chest when the phone rang. No more panic when an unknown number appeared. No more pretending. No more shrinking. No more begging to be included in a family that had never seen me as family at all. And the most surprising thing was, life kept moving. The sun came up. The mail arrived. The coffee brewed. The world went on. But this time, it went on without me carrying the weight of people who never once tried to carry me. I never heard from David again after that. I never heard from Rachel. I wasn't surprised. But about 2 months later, I got a message on Facebook. It was from Ella. Short, simple. Grandma, I miss you. I stared at the message for a long time. My heart softened. Because no matter how angry I was with David and Rachel, my grandchildren were never part of that choice. I responded, I miss you too, sweetheart. You can always write to me here anytime you want. She replied almost immediately, Can I come visit sometime? Anytime you want. And that was the only connection I kept. Not because I was hoping to fix things with David or Rachel. That ship had sailed. But because Ella and Noah, they still had a right to know they were loved. That they weren't the ones who had hurt me. That my door, for them, would always be open. And that's where things stayed. No big dramatic apology. No fake reconciliation. No more manipulation. Just quiet. Just boundaries. Just peace. The vacation they took. The one they didn't know I paid for. Turned out to be the most expensive lesson they'd ever learn. But for me, it wasn't just a lesson. It was liberation. It was the day I stopped being someone they could use. And finally, became someone who chose herself.